looky here. It's the Pat and JT podcast.
Pat and JT podcast.
402-403-9478. Text us. You can call us. If you want. Leave a voicemail.
Absolutely.
That'd be super nice. So we appreciate you listening.
Love getting your notes. Love getting your emails. All of that good stuff. And also like passing along some great things that are going on in the community. As you know, we always love to be involved with things. And so, if like we say, if there's something happening, let us know about it. If we can help you promote it, if we can come out, we'd love to do that. And actually, we have a guest in the studio today. It's Tony Young, who is with Lead Bellies and Toast.
Correct.
Yes. I knew it.
Toast, yep.
Lead Belly and Toast. And the reason why you're in here is you guys every year for the last, this will be your third year.
Correct.
So now you're annual, right?
That's true.
This is annual. We have higher
pressure.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah. You've been doing something really special in the month of September, and you're kicking things off as we speak. This podcast live on the 3rd of September.
Yeah.
So as we speak, today's the day, or this afternoon's the time to stop by Lead Belly's down in Midtown.
Yeah, the two Lead Belly locations. In Omaha, it's at Midtown, and then in Lincoln, the Haymarket location.
Either one, you can stop by. So tell us about your September event. What exactly you got cooking?
Well, September, not a lot of people know, is National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And so 3 years ago, my partners and I got together and tried to discuss what could we do to give back to our local communities. We both have families. I'm a cancer survivor myself. And we kind of got in touch with some local customers who were involved in childhood cancer research and support. And so once we became aware of what was going on in September, we kind of launched our own event just for our 3 stores. We call it Eat, Drink, Cure. Throughout the entire month of September, when you come into our restaurants, we have a special menu, and then a portion of all of the sales of those items go back to 3 Nebraska-based childhood cancer charities. You
specifically chose these charities for a reason.
Yeah, we're a local company. We're not a chain. We're not national. And we are kind of passionate about supporting local businesses like ourselves. And these are Nebraska-based charities. So the money stays here in Nebraska. It supports Nebraska families. And it seemed like a really good fit with our organization.
Exactly. Yeah. What are those 3 organizations?
So Pediatric Cancer Action Network, or PCAN, they provide quick cash grants for families facing childhood cancer. So they can get money to families very quickly without a lot of red tape. They're connected into that community, and so they're aware of what needs families have, and they can.
They kind of fill a gap.
Yep.
That's in there because some of the other and nothing wrong with what they're doing, but they'll have money for the medical procedures.
Correct.
But you've got day-to-day expenses.
Correct. Yeah. So it could be providing hotel room, cash for hotel rooms for people when they come and bring their kids here, because a lot of these kids are coming from all the way across state.
And also the medical bills themselves are overwhelming and expensive, but that's down the road. That's like 4 or 5 months down the road. They got to get the food, a place to stay. Those are the things that are the real stressors. Because really, if your child's battling cancer, you don't care about the medical bills. It's like whatever it takes. But you do have a place to stay. You have to have a hotel. You have to have food.
Well, and even in your own home, you have to pay the rent, you have to pay the utility bills, and when you're paying a lot in medical expenses, that eats into the family budget. So
exactly, and then the other 2.
Yeah, so Camp Caholo, that is the cancer camp for kids. It's located on the Platte River there.
They've been around for a few years.
They have been quite a long time.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
We actually had a little event there this summer with the kids. We created a kind of a chopped competition between all 3 of our restaurants.
That's their own little food network.
Yeah, and so each of our teams put together 3 dishes: a macaroni and cheese dish, a slider, and then a dessert. And the kids and the counselors got to select their favorite, and the favorites will be featured this September or this month. At our stores. So you can come in and actually get the items picked out by the kids.
Can I say I haven't tried your mac and cheese yet?
No, it's phenomenal.
And well, you had it the last we had lunch, and you were having the mac and cheese, and I was like, I had this amazing cheeseburger in front of me, and I was still jealous but it looked delicious. But yeah, so the kids did pick mac and cheese.
Yes, they did.
Of course
Yes.
they did.
Good call.
Good call. All right, Camp Kahalo, and then
Yes, and Sammy Superheroes.
There we
So
go.
that is the research arm in the three that we have. They raise money for research, and so not a lot of people know there's a very, very high incident rate of childhood cancer in Nebraska, one of the highest in the nation.
I had no idea.
it's interesting.
Most people don't. And so it's important to try to do research to understand why the rates are so significant here in Nebraska and not necessarily the surrounding states. And so we've kind of got, I think, a really good trifecta of organizations, research, support, and experience for the kids.
That's awesome. Tell you, and you've had success with this event. Granted, this is only the third annual.
Correct.
But you had your initial first year was successful.
We raised about $8,000 in our stores for that first event. Last year, we raised $18,000, and we're able to secure a matching grant of $25,000.
Nice.
So this year we're hoping to be bigger and better.
Yeah.
Yep. And we've brought on some new partners.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead. Give them credit. That's,
Sure. Yeah. So in Lincoln, Blue Sushi and Sake, which everybody knows from up here, but the Haymarket location is participating. Jack's Bar and Grill is participating, and also Gate 25.
Nice.
Yep. Those are all located right around Lead Belly and the Haymarket.
That's awesome. So and now in Omaha itself, though?
Just Lead Belly right now. The goal
Belly
is
Midtown.
next year is to seek out more local-based food and beverage. We want to keep it focused in that arena and really all about supporting, getting local businesses supporting local foundations.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, when you go down to Lead Bellies at Midtown, if you haven't, we were talking about this, a lot of people don't get to Midtown. It's kind of weird, but this county is the city now because pretty much Omaha's annexed about the whole county, right? So the county is the city, and there are people that are in western parts of the county that don't get downtown. There are people downtown that don't get out west. You were talking about coming out to our studio.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's quite a drive. And there is no real easy way sometimes to get where you want to go. But Midtown, if you haven't been down there lately, it's phenomenal. And they have that parking garage. Just slide right in there, and then Lead Bellies is right there across the street.
Yeah,
and,
a lot of people don't know. Parking is, you can get 3 hours of parking. Just bring your ticket in. The restaurant will stamp you. And
Exactly. All right. So we are going to be coming out to Lead Bellies. And so this being September 3rd,
Correct.
2019.
We'll be out there tonight.
We're going to be out there this afternoon and tonight and get a chance to talk to a lot of people and find out about their support for the program too.
Yeah. We had one more partner jump in also this year, Empyrean Brewing Company. So they have brewed a special ale that is exclusive. You can only get it at our locations, our restaurants through the month of September. It's a pale wheat. It has Nebraska hops as well.
Nice.
So we're trying to retain that Nebraska product.
Cool. Nebraska
they're a local
flavor.
company as well. So so you can get it at Jack's. You can also get it at both Lead Belly locations and Toast.
Nice.
And so online, Facebook page, website for details?
Website eatdrinkcure.org. And we've got a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So we'll be posting throughout the month. We've got in store, we've got kind of a unique opportunity. We have donor cards, and there's 12 different donor cards. Each one has a painting that was painted by a kid who was affected by childhood cancer. On the back's got a little bio of what they painted and kind of their history. So you can, if you stop in, obviously if you eat or drink any of our specials, a portion of proceeds will go to that. But also you can donate, just write your name and the amount, and we'll post that on our stores.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I love that. So guys, if you get it, does this also include takeout?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe for your office, you can do a takeout for your office, right? And go grab some food at Lead Bellies.
Absolutely.
Or if you're in the Lincoln area, obviously we've got to get a couple, 3 locations, right?
We can't take out alcohol, so you have to drink the beer and our special cocktail. Yeah, blueberry lemonade in stores.
I would say volunteer to go pick up the food.
Right.
And then you can sit
Be back in an hour. Yeah.
That's awesome, Tony. Thank you so much for coming in.
You bet.
Thanks, Tony.
And we're
going
to talk to all of your charities all in this podcast and get a little taste of each one of them and kind of get some background too. But we really appreciate what you're doing, and we'll see you this afternoon.
Yes. Yes.
From Sammy Superheroes, in with us, Alyssa and Aaron are here with us. Going to continue the conversation that we started with Tony, talking about this event going on throughout the month and raising some money for childhood cancer research. Who wants to introduce who, and who wants to talk? We'll start with Aaron.
Yes.
Let's talk about Sammy's Superheroes and your connection.
Yeah. So, so my son is Sammy, and he was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma in July of 2012. So we're 7 years out from diagnosis.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And he's an anomaly. We were at a symposium that's happening this week and talking to some doctors, and his disease is active. It continues to be active, but has been stable now for years, and they don't know why. There's just not the research available to really have an understanding of what his disease is doing. So obviously research is really important to us personally. And then of course we started the foundation, and that's our focus, our mission.
Did you start the foundation because you realized that there were others out there too? And it was like, it wasn't like he was the only one.
Right.
And you're like, we need to find an answer.
Well, what happens is we're from Columbus, Nebraska. So we have a pretty small, tight-knit community. And when he was diagnosed, a group of my friends, Alyssa's involved in the beginning of the foundation, a group of friends just decided to sell some T-shirts to support us at the local football games. Well, before they knew it, they had $40,000, which was so much more than we felt like we could accept. So we were kind of scrambling with what are we going to do with this money that was raised? And about the same time, late that fall, early winter, they told us Sam wasn't responding to the treatment. So it was about 4 months in, and we started to scramble. We have to find doctors that are specialists now. He's not just on the protocol. We have to look all over the country to try to find out what to do next.
How old was he at the time?
He was 4. So that was the start of the foundation. We realized that only 4% of federal research dollars for cancer go toward childhood cancer.
That is insane.
It's insane. And I always tell people that was scarier than his initial diagnosis, when we started to really become aware of the deficit that's here. And it was just crazy. It was throwing darts and hoping to hit some target that no one knew where the target was, And so we traveled all over the country for his treatment for the next few years. But anyway, that was definitely the point where we decided that money, we needed to move this forward in a meaningful way that would, so that other families wouldn't have to feel the way we felt at that point.
You had to feel like you were just out in the middle of the ocean.
It was terrible.
It was just like, you can't see land. It's just like, who's going to help? I mean, you said 4%?
4%
of the dollars. So Alyssa, were you when you started helping, not knowing, you were probably in the same, you were just like, okay, well, we're going to do whatever we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So when they decided to start a foundation, there's a lot that goes into that. And my background was in business and accounting. So a group of us stepped in with various kind of specialty areas and started the foundation. And since then, we've changed our direction a little bit, I think, but for the good. A majority of our funds still go towards research, and we've funded different research projects over the last several years. But we've also started to see that other families are in the same situation. They feel unsupported. They don't know what to do next, and so instead of them starting a foundation, we created a program called Sidekicks, which a little play on words there with superheroes. And so the Sidekicks program just launched last year, but it allows families to fundraise in their child's name, and their donors then are able to, get a tax deduction for the donation. and yet they don't have all the headache that we endured over those first several years of starting a nonprofit and all the tax
That's a
reporting.
great idea though, because it's like you already have the model in place.
Right. That's brilliant.
And so it's like, here, we're gonna put this section over here. It's just for you and your family and friends and whoever wants to help you, but we'll take care of all the behind the scenes.
Yeah. And then we've also started a family outreach program. Aaron could probably talk a little bit more about it, but one of Sammy's favorite gifts that he received early on in treatment was a blanket. And the blankets are actually made by another nonprofit in the Boston, Massachusetts area. And so we joined forces with Binkies for Comfort years ago, and we've started sending the blanket and information about resources available in the area. And we just added a book that is written by a local author here in Nebraska that helps. It's like a children's book. There's actually two, a children's book and a teen book. And the teen book is more of a journal for those kids.
Wow.
When they're a little bit older, it helps them kind of process what they're going through. And then the children's book is, just a really sweet book with pictures and something that I think families could read to other family members or in the classroom, because inevitably it doesn't just affect the child and their immediate family. It affects all those people around them in their daily life. So.
Right. I mean, that helps the teachers also dealing with their classmates that are trying to process what's going on and why their friend isn't in school, or why their parents may be different, or why, all those questions, and they just don't understand. And probably their parents appreciate that too, because they don't have the answers. Right. It's incredible.
Yeah, that is.
There's a lot of long-term effects. For example, Sam has hearing aids. He just started, we knew he had some hearing loss, but it really started to affect him in school over the last 2 years. And so last year, after he had them and his friends were asking questions, I was like, well, I'll just come into the classroom quick and we'll just have a chat about it with, the friends and his peers. Well, what that turned into, I said, does anyone have questions? And every hand was up. And they're like, does Sam still have cancer? And Sammy, when you lost your hair the last time, did it hurt when it grew back? I mean, these kids hadn't had an opportunity to just ask questions and understand. And I mean, I was so surprised at how it affected all of the kids in his class. And so we took like 20 minutes and we answered as many questions as we could. And, it's definitely something that affects a whole community.
That's probably something that they don't get asked very often is, do you have any questions?
Right.
It's okay to ask anything. Right. Just what are you thinking of? Because they've got them, but they're probably thinking, well, that's a stupid question. I better not ask that, or maybe they don't know the answer. I better not. That's something that's just like a whole. That's a whole nother avenue for, I guess, really what you're doing is, if you wanted to do something in the schools as well, to kind of as an outreach for some of the other children and their schools. Because I'm sure the schools would appreciate having somebody that they could actually reach out to that could help them with their students in their classes. That's just another, you don't even think that.
No, you
deep.
don't think about that.
You really don't. I mean, we started talking about research.
Yeah, there's so many pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, definitely. So if somebody wanted to find you guys online, make a donation, obviously this event going on throughout this month, let me just start there. What does that mean to you, being the recipient of this?
Oh my gosh. It's just incredible. So whenever we've said from the beginning of our foundation that social media will change childhood cancer, because people will become more aware and people will do something, and as people are aware of different things and that they can do and how the things that they can do make a difference, even just sharing posts on social media about statistics and things like that, it touches someone else's heart, or someone else becomes involved because a child in their community was diagnosed. And so anyway, events like this where especially a business owner truly takes an interest, and it's not just, we'll have one night that we donate a portion of sales, because everybody can do that. Anybody does that.
And please do.
And please do. Yes.
And please do.
And those are not bad things. Those are wonderful things. But for someone who has not been touched by this, where their child was sick and, just feels this dire need to do something like we have felt, for someone to just say, okay, this is super important and we're going to take the bull by the horns and we're going to do something big here and we're going to get other businesses on board and we're going to raise a really significant amount of money for research. It's not a couple $100s. We're talking about thousands of dollars. And that does move the needle. It really does. It makes a really huge impact. So personally, as a mother to a child with cancer, it's absolutely there's not words for that, for someone who gets involved like that.
Social media can change things, because you think about some of the silly or inane things that people do fundraisers for, right? And it's like, I don't want to go to school, so I need everybody to donate $1. And lo and behold, they get like $50,000, right? So
insane.
I'm just going to say $1 at a time makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
And social media can easily cause. So if you see the post or whether you donate or not, share it. Just share it because it's local, for no other reason. It's here, it's in the state, it's in our city, it's right here. Let's just go ahead and if you see the post, share it. You never know who's going to see it. You don't know who's a friend to who.
Right.
That might mean a lot to them, and that they want to get even more involved.
Right.
I appreciate it. So finding you guys online.
So finding us online, it's SammySuperheroes.org is our website. And then, of course, we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't know if we have Snapchat. Megan works on our social media, and I don't really do Snapchat ever, so I don't really know anything about it. So we might have it. I don't know. I have never looked.
I'm not really sure.
I don't think we do yet.
Pat, do we have Snapchat?
See, he doesn't know either.
Sure. We do.
He learned how to snap from his daughter.
Well, that's where I should learn, but I'm annoyed by the whole thing.
Yeah. I like the filters are fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are funny.
I have played around with those a little bit, but I don't talk. I have a bunch of followers, but I don't ever post anything. I post 0.
Yeah.
I just play with the filters.
Are you going to post about Eat, Drink, Cure?
Absolutely. I will on
that's right.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, not a
Everything.
problem. Snapchat,
I don't know how.
I don't know how.
We'll figure it out.
I don't know how without bunny ears. I'm like,
I know.
I gotta figure that out.
That's funny.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story, the background, and I look forward to seeing you guys out at the launch, and of course all month long.
Yes.
Let's just hope they raise just thousands.
Yes. Thanks for having us.
You
and
got
thanks
it.
for doing this.
Sure.
You
Thanks,
bet.
guys.
So we've been talking about the event that's going on, Eat, Drink, Cure, and had talked to Tony earlier and had Sammy Superheroes in. And now we have another guest that is joining us. And Scott is here from Camp Kaholo. Welcome. First and foremost. So have you, the Eat, Drink, Cure, have you been a part of this in years past?
So Camp Kohlo, yes. Camp Kohlo, I think since the start of it, Camp Kohlo has been a beneficiary of it. I know Tony. First off, I want to thank Tony and the Eat, Drink, Cure folks, Lead Belly, for doing this. I mean, this is a huge campaign. It's in line with Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, which happens in September.
Right.
It's a great time to drive awareness of pediatric cancer and things that organizations...
And all kinds of pediatric cancer in particular. Because it's not just specific to one. And as we were talking with Sammy Superheroes, same thing. Theirs is about all types of childhood cancer.
That is right, yeah.
And tell us about your camp.
Yeah. So Camp Kohlo, it is a Nebraska-based camp for kids with cancer and blood disorders. We're based here in Omaha. The camp itself happens out at the Eastern Nebraska 4-H Center, which is, you may be familiar with it, it's about 10 miles, give or take, south of Gretna. Great facility, great staff out there, and we are open for kids of all ages, 6 through 17, any type of cancer experience, whether they're in treatment, in remission. We have the staff out there, the med staff that's out there 24/7 to ensure that we can give these kids a camp experience that they may not otherwise be able to get. Our main objective is to give them as normal of an experience as we can. We have it so that it is just the kids themselves, the kids with cancer themselves, so that they can just feel comfortable, right? They may be, if they're in treatment, maybe they're bald or whatever it may be. Maybe they have a port. And we have the folks there that can take care of that, but they also have other kids there who may be in the same spot, or other kids who maybe 2 or 3 years ago were in that same spot. And everybody just knows that, hey, this is part of it all. And it's just meant to make them feel comfortable.
It's got to be, for some of the kids, I would imagine, besides seeing other kids in the hospital, but outside of the hospital, seeing other kids that look like them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
That are going through the same experiences physically, mentally, and their families. And maybe with their families, they can't say the things that they want to say that they can say to other kids that are in the same spot.
Yep.
That's got to be amazing. I'm sure. Well, how many years you guys been around? I mean, it's been a minute.
This is our 35th year. We just finished our 35th year of camp. So it's been out there. We've established our reputation, if you will, with the community, with the I'll say the pediatric cancer community. We get great support from Children's Hospital, from the Nebraska Medical Center. So they know us. They actually are the folks that bring the med staff out to camps so that we can do what we need to do.
Like a partnership.
Yeah, exactly. Very much so. So they know us, they trust us. We've got that reputation built up, and it becomes, in some ways, I've heard some of the pediatric oncologists talking about this as being part of the total care for these children, right? And that it needs to be more than just what you do there in the hospitals, right? That's just, when you're a kid, that's just not a fun thing to be doing is every week or every month, whatever it is, to be going to the hospital and having the treatment. Well, this is something where they can do where it's outside of the hospital. Give these kids, again, just that opportunity to have that normal experience.
Yeah, just feel normal.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an important thing for the pediatric oncology staffs as well. And I think that's why they are willing to send the folks out to help with camp.
What is the usual experience, or is there a usual experience? Is it 3 days? Is it a week?
So we actually have 2 sessions. It spans roughly, I think it's a Sunday to Sunday that it typically spans. The first session is for the younger children, ages 6 through 11. And they arrive Sunday, they leave Wednesday. The second session is for the older kids, ages 12 to 17. They arrive that Wednesday afternoon, so there's a short little turnaround that our volunteers have to go through to get ready for the older kids, and they stay through Sunday. And every year there's a given theme that's set to camp, anywhere from art-type themes to sporting themes to one year is princesses and pirates, just different things. Some of it is just based on what's the current thing out there in pop culture right now. And they, the programming staff, our volunteers, got to give a big shout out to our volunteers. Everything is done on a volunteer basis. They put all this together and pull off just what ends up being a great week for these kids.
How many kids do you think?
So it fluctuates year to year, but typically it's somewhere around 160. Maybe on a given year it might be as high as 180.
Most of them from Nebraska?
Nebraska and Iowa, yep.
See, that's the thing when we were talking with Tony earlier, Tony Young with Lead Bellies, who's putting on the Eat, Drink, Cure throughout the entire month of September, as a matter of fact, and they're raising funds for pediatric cancer research. Is the knowledge, awareness isn't there for the sheer number of pediatric cancer cases in Nebraska, Iowa. Nebraska's unusually high.
It is, And there's a lot of work that's being done to look into that. Some of the med staff that help us, Dr. Don Coulter in particular, that's something that's caught their attention, and maybe Tony spoke about this earlier, but they're trying to find out what and why behind that.
So that's probably where some of when you think research on how to cure the cancer, but there's also money that is needed to find out where it's coming from, why it's...
Stop the cause.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that side.
Yeah, because if you can stop it in its tracks before it becomes something you need to cure. You can prevent it.
Basically, get in a spot where it puts us out of business, right?
Right.
In a perfect
you probably
world.
love that, right?
That would be great. Yeah.
In a perfect world, there's no need for your camp.
That is right. And I often talk about what we need to do as a board. I'm on. I guess I didn't say this earlier. I'm on the board of directors for Camp Colo, but that's one of the things that I often think about is that the near-term mission needs to be making sure that we're doing everything we need to do to be sustainable for the next 35 years and the 35 years after that, and up until that point that all the great research and work that's done out there finds a way to end this stuff so that camps like ours aren't needed. But while we're needed, we're going to make sure that we're there. And we're there for these families and we're there for these kids.
One of the stats that came out, and it was a conversation off the mic, as a matter of fact, we were talking about the number of dollars, the percentage of dollars that goes to childhood cancer research in the grand scheme of things for all cancer research fundraising is around 4% of all of that.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
That number, and we were talking with the folks from Sammy's Superheroes, so that when that number is just like, wait a minute, there are several different, and we're talking adult cancers, childhood cancer, all the different types that have different fundraising. The awareness of breast cancer, the awareness of some of the other types of cancers is much larger, and then there's just the smaller, and in Nebraska in particular, the higher instance of it. It's just like, whoa, how did that happen? And when they started this camp, who started it, and how many kids were you looking at the beginning?
So the name of the individual who started it escapes me. I apologize for that, but it was an individual. I think she was inspired by an episode of Phil Donahue that she saw.
Wow.
Where there was a person on that.
TBT right there.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
Phil Donahue. What? There's all these people going out to Google. Yeah. What? Phil Donahue. What's that?
He means Dr. Phil, obviously.
Definitely. Yeah.
What is he talking about?
And but she was inspired by that and had this realization of, well, why can't we do that here in Omaha? And one thing led to another. She got a small group of folks together. Some of those folks actually still continue to be involved with camp one way or another today. And I believe the first couple sessions of camp were smaller. We had to get our feet under ourselves. Yeah, get the awareness, perhaps prove, maybe it's even as much proving to the then volunteers that, hey, we can do this. We can pull this off. We can figure out how to get the support of Children's and Nebraska Medical Center and that. And then as that awareness developed, as that confidence was built, the organization, it almost created a life of its own. And it became what it is today. I've been involved since, I think it was roughly 2007, where I had a couple friends who they were on the board at that point in time, and there were some volunteer needs, and they recruited me, and I was interested in helping out anyway, and they recruited me, and one thing led to another. And about 6 years ago, I actually joined the board of directors, and we've continued to grow all along. And it's just one person's vision has led to one person's vision to put this together on a small basis has led to what we're doing today for these kids.
And I like that too. It has kind of spread its wings, because it's not just the kids, and we were talking to Sammy's Superheroes about the kids that are classmates. And that she was talking to the kids that are classmates of Sammy and explaining some things that had changed and some things that were new, and then asked, do you have any questions? And everybody's hands, yes, I have a question, because they all needed somebody to talk to. Yeah. You've spread your program out also to include the siblings.
That is right. We do have a sibling camp that I believe is coming up in 2 weekends. So basically it is a separate weekend that is set aside for the siblings of our campers to come. And obviously, a pediatric cancer diagnosis is certainly very impactful for the child that's facing the diagnosis, right? But it affects the entire family as well. It impacts mom and dad. If there's siblings in the picture, it impacts those siblings as well. And sometimes those siblings, they get forgotten a little bit, right? There's so much focus. Everybody's worried about the child that has the diagnosis.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
But that resentment, I'm sure then there's guilt because they're resentful.
Yep.
Right? Then they feel guilty because...
Right.
So the sibling camp is an opportunity for us to try to help, again, kind of think of the care for the whole package. That sibling camp is an opportunity for those siblings, big brother, big sister, little sister, to come in and get some attention of their own.
Right.
So.
Right. So something like this, the Eat, Drink, Cure fundraiser.
Yep.
I'm sure you get donations year round, but something like this that's really focused on this, on pediatric cancer in particular. What does this mean to you? I mean, I know you said you wanted to thank Tony for putting this together and trying to raise some awareness.
Yeah, so events like this are huge for us. We are a small group, all volunteer-based, and we pride ourselves in putting together a great camp experience, which means that sometimes finding the time and finding the resources to do some of the promotional activities, do some of the fundraising activities. That gets a little challenging at times. So what works best for us is when we are able to work with somebody like Tony and the Eat, Drink, Cure folks, where basically it's partnering to leverage the various resources, the various skills, talents that we can bring to the table, and pulling off a great fundraiser. And to be sure, it's Tony and his team that do all the work here, but it is huge for us. I mean, it gives us the confidence that we can keep focusing on the things that we do best, putting together a great camping experience for these kids, and knowing that we have folks like Tony and team that will be there to help with the funding to make all this come together.
The whole circle. I mean, it's not just the research; it's also their day-to-day lives, the family, the kids, and the friends, and all that. So, okay, so if somebody's maybe they're in that situation now and they hadn't, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about that. Is getting into the camp difficult? Is there a waiting list? How do they go about doing it?
So we pride ourselves in taking anybody and everybody that wants to come and participate in camp. There are a number of ways that folks can get connected with us. We have a website, www.campcoholo.com, and Coholo is COHOLO. That stands for Courage, Hope, and Love. The biggest way for folks typically getting connected with camp is through either Children's or through the Nebraska Medical Center. Obviously, the folks there, they've become very aware of us. Again, most of the oncology staffs there are involved in one way or the other with camp. So as somebody comes in, they and as that time for camp is coming up, they'll often say, "Hey, are you aware of this Camp Coholo? We really think you should go." And again, some of it comes from that whole, treating the whole package perspective. And sometimes, particularly for those first year parents, it's a little daunting to think, "Oh my gosh, my child is dealing with this disease. Do I really want to just let him or her go out?
Right.
3 or 4 days?
This is a camp out into the woods and getting into the dirt and stuff like that." And fortunately, we have some good volunteers there at Children's at the Med Center that they can help give mom and dad some. We'll take care of them. We'll take care of them, and more often than not, we're able to get them out there and go. So the biggest way to get them connected is through Children's, is through Nebraska Medical Center, but they can also go to our website to get info about it as well.
Social media?
Yes, we do have presence on social media. We have a Facebook page. We also are on Twitter, and we're looking at more ways. Instagram is becoming the thing, right? So we're probably going to establish Instagram here soon as well. But right now, the presence is on Facebook, is on Twitter, and certainly we've got folks that monitor those social media avenues as well. So folks can certainly contact us there too.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you all for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for what you do, honestly.
Thank you.
Moving on as we continue our discussion about the big promotion that's going on, Eat, Drink, Cure at Lead Belly's Midtown. Carrie's in with us now from Pecan.
Yes.
And I'm not as familiar, and that's why this is the whole point of what Tony wanted to do when he's doing the fundraiser for childhood cancer research, is also to help bring awareness to some local charities and organizations that are doing some great work. So I'm excited to get to know you and what you guys do.
Great, thanks. I'm excited to be here. Pediatric Cancer Action Network started in 2014, right at the end of our daughter's treatment for stage 4 neuroblastoma. So it's kind of a mission from the heart. Pecan started with my husband, Mitchell Allschweid, and our cousin, Erica Shelton. The three of us kind of got together and did this brainchild thing where we decided to pay forward the kindness that was shown to our family while our daughter was in treatment. Lena was 18 months old when she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She was the youngest of 5, and my husband and I both were working full-time jobs, just doing our thing. And when you get that diagnosis, your whole world turns upside down. And the last thing on your mind is, well, how am I going to pay for this? It's how are we going to get her through this? So I had walked away from my full-time job as a registered nurse and didn't even think about the consequences of that until we're, getting further into treatment. We were told that Lena wasn't going to survive, that we needed to have our family come and say their goodbyes and be ready for that. So my job was not my concern. But Lena was tougher than they gave her credit for. And so weeks and months later, the bills are coming and the paychecks aren't. And we were very fortunate. I had lived in Lincoln my entire life and had good community support from our church, from our friends, from our families, from our coworkers who came forward and did some little fundraisers to just kind of keep us going. We had kids up through late teens in high school, a daughter that wanted to go to prom and another one that's going off to college. And there's just no money for any of that when you have all these medical expenses rolling in and the travel expenses related to treatment. These kids are all being treated in Omaha. So regardless of where the kids live through the state of Nebraska, everything is in Omaha. So you have the related travel expenses as well as the medical expenses. So PCAN came to be right at the end of Lena's treatment as really our way of paying forward what was given to us. What we do is help local families who have kids with cancer pay the bills so that doesn't have to be at the forefront of their mind. We've paid for everything from prescription drug expenses that aren't covered by insurance to medical bills that are outstanding, rent and utilities, put groceries on the table, just the basics.
A lot of people, they think of when you need money, they're thinking you need to pay the medical bills.
Right.
Because that's going to be crazy. And it's like, well, there are a lot of other bills that need to get paid as well that you just assume get taken care of, and they don't.
Right.
And that
they
medical,
don't stop.
Yeah, it's like that has to go for this, but how do we pay this?
Right.
How do we send our daughter to prom?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
We had looked at some statistics and found that a lot of families during the course of treatment have over $30,000 out of pocket expenses, whether it be travel expenses or medical expenses, just other expenses related to getting your child to and from treatment. And for the most part, if you're fortunate to have a 2-earner income household, you're going down to 1. So for the single parent family homes, you're really losing any income you had. Childhood cancer treatment is so different than adult treatments. It's very intensive. A lot of it is inpatient. And so most jobs aren't flexible enough to say, sure, take, 26 days off out of the month and we'll keep you for 4. So a lot of these parents find themselves unemployed while their child is in treatment as well.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That's terrifying. I mean, just being unemployed is scary.
Yes.
But then, throw that on top of you're trying to fix your child.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Right.
The stress of that in and of itself, I can't even imagine. So you guys, how big is your organization?
Well, we are all volunteers. There are 9 of us who find this just a mission from the heart. We all volunteer our time, so nobody is paid. So I like to say we're small but mighty. We are up to able to support 25 Nebraska families this year. And we grow a little bit more each year. We just kind of keep trucking forward thanks to organizations and fundraisers like the Eat, Drink, Cure. That's been a huge benefit to us that we're able to help an extra 8 to 10 families a year simply because of events like Eat, Drink, Cure.
When you guys first started this, were you, and even when you first got the diagnosis, were you aware of just the sheer numbers of families or children that were involved? Just in Nebraska, this is like new news to us.
Yes.
That Nebraska is so high on the list and there's no real good reason.
Right. Yeah. No, even as a registered nurse, and I've been a nurse for 13 years, until Lena was diagnosed, I had no idea that the epidemic was as bad as it is in the state of Nebraska.
That just gives me gave me chills. I mean, it really did. Just when you just think about Nebraska's not an overpopulated state,
right?
And the percentages are scary.
Yes.
And there's no good reason for why Nebraska kids. So as we were just talking with Camp Koholo, right? And and I've just found out what that means. Courage, Hope, Love.
Yes.
I didn't know that before.
Neither.
I didn't either. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
But when we were talking to them, just finding out just the sheer numbers and the fact that a lot of this money also is not only going to cure, but also to prevent. So we need to find that reason why.
Yes.
Which is just, is there, I don't know how personal you want to get. Is there a history of cancer in your family? Is that something that you had on the radar?
My husband lost both his father and his grandfather to cancer. I lost a grandfather to cancer. But when you're talking about adult cancers, they're so entirely different. There are cancers, adults don't get neuroblastoma. In fact, teenagers almost never get neuroblastoma. There are cancers that are specific to children and very young children. There's not a lot of crossover in the types of cancers. You look at the sheer numbers and it is frightening, There's a lot of groundbreaking research being done. One of the first things that PCAN did was advocate to the state legislature to start researching here in Nebraska and find out what's happening in our state and why is this happening.
Is it environmental? Is
right.
it, what is it? What exactly is changing things?
So that was so early, 2014, and there was no pediatric cancer research that was being funded in our state at that point. It was all the private oncologists having to write for grants. And after 2014, now there is an actual childhood cancer research organization run right here out of Omaha, UNMC, and Children's Hospital Collaborative to start looking at what is it. And we're talking all different types of researchers, not just oncologists.
And not just any one specific cancer.
Right. Yeah. But just to look at the epidemiology. So you have these freakishly smart epidemiologists that are looking at water, that are looking at soil, that are looking at other environmental causes and still digging for the cause.
Medical professional, do you notice, like, are there clusters?
Yes.
There are.
In fact, you can look it up. It's mapped out.
Wow.
It will show you hotspots even within the state of Nebraska where there is a abnormally large incidence rate.
That's scary.
Yes.
It really is. I mean, just hearing this and getting a chance to talk to all the organizations that they're working with Eat, Drink, Cure, we've learned a ton.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, learned a ton. And it's frightening when you think about the low number of dollars that are going towards something that is abnormally high in this state. And even in comparison to the surrounding states.
Right.
That's what doesn't make sense.
Right. Nowhere close to us in the Midwest is there an incidence rate like ours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something
Scary.
else. All right. So you're looking at several, I mean, how many, you've been doing this for 5 years?
Yes.
Right. And so 20 some families every year.
We
that
grow
you're able
every
to?
year.
That is incredible. And I'm sure that just means the world to them as well. If somebody hasn't heard about you and how to get a hold of you, what's eligible, it's like if they're just maybe just now maybe they've been dealing with this for years, and they just hadn't heard about you guys yet. Where would they find more information?
Well, the first place to start would be our website. It's pcanaction.org, pcanaction.org. If there are families that are actively in treatment right now and they're needing resources, the very best place to start is with their social workers, both at Children's Hospital and at UNMC. We support families in Nebraska that are seeking treatment elsewhere as well. We know that for some families, they kind of hit a roadblock at one of those places and maybe need to go elsewhere for treatment. So we have families throughout the state that are being treated at St. Jude or Houston, all over the United States. Right. So for those folks, our website would be the place to start. There's contact information for email and phone numbers and how to get in touch with us and how to access us for support.
It really is. It's comforting on one side to know that Omaha itself has this cluster of this brain trust.
Yes.
Right. That's all working on research and prevention. But you know that there are other places also in the country that are doing some great work. But Omaha really is, a lot of people come here.
Yes.
For help.
Yes.
That's just incredible.
Yeah,
My God. Incredible. Thank you so much for stopping by and letting us know and then just kind of enlightening us. And that's what this whole month's about, is to raise awareness so people know what's going on and also who's out there that can help.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
You got it.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
And don't forget about Kugler Vision. They're a proud supporter, and we are very proud. They are a supporter of the Pat and JT podcast. Go to kuglervision.com and sign up for your consultation. They are the experts when it comes to your vision. Get your consultation. Do it all at kuglervision.com and let them know that it was the Pat and JT show that told you about them. Thanks for rating, reviewing, subscribing the Pat and JT podcast.
Pat and JT podcast, a Parkville Media Production.